Hey guys, welcome to Engineer Your Supply Chain. I'm Jim Moran. I just want to talk about real quick uh, the tariffs, the latest situation as of May 15th, 2025. I was doing some research because I got a question from a client that says, "Hey Jim, tariffs have greatly reduced from China. Is this good news for our molds?" So we're importing some injection molds from China to be then produced in the USA. And on the surface, it looks like, yeah, I mean, tariffs have been greatly reduced, right? Because they were, what, 150%, 200% recently. And now it's been announced that there's going to be a 10% universal tariff for the following 90 days. Okay. And, but there's also a 20% fentanyl tariff added to that as well. So in January 2025, right, we were quoted on this injection mold a 28.1% tariff on these parts coming in. So as they come across the border, our supplier or vendor has to pay 28.1% on the price of this part coming across the border, coming in from China. And then that then gets passed on to my client in order to be able to get that mold, that injection mold, steel injection mold, into the USA. And so we're comparing 28.1% to the current one. We're not comparing it to the 200% that was added, that was created as a negotiation tactic by the administration, right? All we're concerned about is how does that compare to what was there at the beginning of the year? So it's 10% universal tariff plus 20% fentanyl tariff is a total of 30% on Chinese goods, including steel injection molds. So our situation's actually gotten worse. We'd actually be paying 1.9%, almost 2% more in tariffs versus the situation in January. So let's not take victory laps yet on what's going on with tariffs. And I know it's a process and it's probably going to change in the next 90 days. But let's be cautious about putting ourselves on the back and doing victory laps because remember, you got to compare with what was originally there at the beginning of the year or with your latest quote, not with what it was last week, right? Because we can just we can call it anything. We can say, yeah, it was a 500% tariff, and I got it down to 250 and call it victory, right? But that's not really how it works in the real world, right? Let's compare apples to apples here in that situation. So what we'll continue to do is monitor the developments. We'll stay informed with the ongoing trade negotiations between USA and China and other countries. We'll keep looking at other alternatives, second sources. Maybe look at injection molds from countries not subject to these tariffs. Okay. And there's a lot of, there's a major injection molder I know that's building a facility in Costa Rica to kind of give a little bit more versatility to your supply chain. You can always consult trade experts, including some that are using AI software to gather all the latest data and then provide kind of like a weekly strategy of, hey, this is what's coming up. Here's what's the latest going on with the tariff across the globe, plus other political things that might be going on. And then it takes a look at your upcoming purchases and says, here's where there's risk. Here's where you might see some increases, or here's some decreases. You might want to load up on these now. So, but also know that what's in particular with China and the USA, things are moving. What's going to happen after the 90-day kind of agreement, right? So this 10% plus 20% is a 90-day agreement. What happens if negotiations fail? Who knows? If they escalate beyond that, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So it's a moving target here. The best we can do is deal with the information that we have right now. But again, just make sure that you're dealing with what your original quoted tariff was. And if you weren't quoted a tariff on parts coming in from China, you better ask that question. Okay, how are you dealing with this? What you don't want to get is a PO, send a bunch of POs, and then get an invoice later for tariff costs. Okay. Hey, if you have any questions on this, just reach out to me. You can follow me on LinkedIn, ask me questions on there. You can put something in the comments here. You can always email me, jim@jimmoran.net. All right. And yeah, so just keep an eye on those tariffs. We'll keep researching this and looking at it, and continue to follow here on this YouTube channel for any other kind of updates as I come across them. Okay. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.